I was with it. Like, I was ready and gearing up to go.
What it do? Hi, guys. Welcome back to Recess Podcast with D'Andre and Kamron. It's your girls. What it do? What's up?
Guess who's back again.
Literally.
It's been years.
This is
Crickets. This is so awkward.
No, but if you don't know who I am, my name is D'Andre Wilson. I am a creative entrepreneur. I am a film producer. I am a content creator. I'm a lot of things, honestly. We are both self-proclaimed multi-hyphenates. And I am one half of Recess Podcast. And Cams, you could take it away.
Same. What she said. What she said. Literally.
First of all, this has been 4 years in the works. Like, it's very weird to sit down finally in front of the camera and like actually be talking to y'all. Like, y'all would notice we have no real like formal structure because it's just us.
It's a lot.
Bro.
Yeah.
And there's so much, first of all, there's so much to talk about. Like, we have so much to get into. But there's really no formal structure. And like, I just feel like
It is what it is.
What it is. This world of ours comes with chaos. And
Unbridled.
madness.
Chaotic energy.
It's a similar kind of energy we had when we were just doing like audio style. And now more so y'all get to like see us on camera, see us like relate to one another with our friends, with our peers. We're back finally. So we get to sit down and really talk after 4 years about where we've been. It's been a long day without you. And I tell you about it.
That's not that song. Stop.
No, but for real, I'm so happy to be back. Like, y'all understand the energy, the things we have planned this season. Like, it's just a lot. But I'm talking a lot to Kamron. How do you feel? Where you at with it? What's going on?
It's been 4 years. And like, we tried. Like, there have been like literally year after year since we've like taken a break, a hiatus. People come up to us and they're asking us, when are we bringing back Recess? What's going on with Recess? When are y'all re-recording Recess? Recess. And I'm just like,
no, but let's really talk about that though. Did you expect like the kind of impact that Recess had in terms of like season 1 and 2? Because I will be honest, like, it's not something like we just tooting our own horn. Like, we genuinely have received such positive feedback. Even to the other day when one of our friends, Serrette, tweeted and like shared our stuff on Twitter with a friend of his, and like they were just speaking so highly about it, and I was just like, like, not to say
like we did that,
enjoy like what we were doing or whatever at the time, but I just don't know if we had
understanding
any idea,
of like
of the way that it would have been received. So yeah, anyway, I just wanted to ask you, based on, because you're saying people will come up and ask you, even they see us kind of like, oh yeah, you listen to you guys' podcast, and I'm like, huh?
Yeah.
Like, we just thought we were two little girls
every time
on the internet just doing anything, you know.
I think when when I originally came to you with the idea, I always tell our friends, like, I have this kind of, what's the word? I have this kind of like unreasonable amount of belief in everything that we do. Yeah. I just expect, there's no failure. Like, anything that we put I'm like, we have support, like people like us. Like, I'm not even, like, it's not even like a boastful thing, but it's just that I know that we carry light and a lot of good energy. And I know that once we do things, we get support because people appreciate us or people value our contribution or our light or our energy. So when we originally did it, I thought that it would be well received.
Yeah. I know we had a lot of confidence in ourselves at the time.
Yeah, but like, I didn't think that people would be stopping me on the road on the cross and telling me, oh, I listened to your podcast.
Or just like even 3-4 years after.
Yeah, or even like recognizing me or us like from that. And then again, like referencing it 3-4 years later. I'm just like, no, I definitely didn't think that was, I didn't envision it having that level of impact that early, I would say.
Yeah. And I mean, let's be realistic. Like, we're not sitting on here trying to say we went viral and we were like, more podcasts in the real.
Yeah.
No, obviously we checked the stats. We know like the amount of like subscriptions we had and like monthly listeners and stuff. So not to say it was the most viral podcast, but just to say that the audience that we did have, and the support that we did receive was like real strong.
Yeah.
And the love was real, and I don't know, it's just something that we continue to feel. And I think it's a big reason why we're even back doing it in this way. Yeah, like back again. But like in a whole new way. And I mean, I really believe in timing and the fact that when things are meant to be, they will align accordingly and whatever. And, you know, we'll get more into everything. But just all of that to say, we really, first of all, a huge thank you to everybody who supported us season 1, 2, everybody who, like, we had a launch event for season 2, like all the people that came on to that, like our friends, anybody who's ever shared, listened, like anything, like we really, really genuinely appreciate that. And I really feel like we want to start the show off on that note and just say that like we do not take any of it for granted.
Absolutely.
We love y'all. And you know, this is a community-based show. It's about you guys, it's for y'all. We want feedback, we want to listen, we want comments, we want to feel actively engaged with the audience that we build and the community that we grow. We want to feel like y'all are friends. Like we're all in this together, quite literally. Let's get into it. Okay, Cam.
I just want to let y'all know D'Andre cheated.
No. So there's this game that we are gonna play. It's not recess without some games, right? So there is a card stack that we stole from one of our best friends, Cheryl Jennings. It's from Morgan Harper Nichols, and she just has this really cool, meaningful like cards where she has great questions and just like things that make you think about life, right? So we felt like it would be really nice to kind of like throw this in to some of the episodes, yeah, just to kind of like get a deeper understanding of some of the things that we think about and just kind of prompt really meaningful conversations. So I told Kamron to pick 2 questions that she feels would, you know, be relatable to our return experience and us coming back and relaunching and all the good things. However, we are going to be switching hands. So I picked 2. She picked 2. And I'm going to ask her the question that she picked out. She's going to ask me the questions that I picked out. It says, a lot has happened over the last 10 years of your life. What is still true? What is still true? Okay, so context. We all know my memory is utter trash. So I'm literally trying to remember things about myself when I was 16. I'm still creative. And like, that's always been my thing. And like, I think I was telling somebody this the other day, I knew from since I was young that I didn't want to work a 9 to 5. And literally the other day, I ended up trialing a 9 to 5 in my field. And I was like, Right. I remember we had that conversation. This is not for me. Even, and I don't know if this is something we spoke about on prior seasons of the pod, but have you spoken publicly about like the fact that you didn't go to university like by choice? I don't know if we've ever like dived into that. So you can even speak to that too, because I mean, even you saying you're still a creative and then you didn't even choose the traditional path that most people might choose, or even going to university, and that's like a huge thing in our generation in the Caribbean when we were growing up, going to university, you know. So I was always a creative kid, I'd say. Like I grew up loving music. Music was my first kind of love. I went to private primary school, and we used to do pantomime, so we would have like kind of musical stuff. I never got chosen for the lead, and I was always so sad. But I always really enjoyed the musical numbers and that kind of thing. And that love for music kind of transcended into secondary school when I started a choir that was joined with our brother school, Presentation College. So it was Presentation College Mixed Choir. And we did a musical every year. And that's when it like, I was like, I want to be on stage. I want to be on Broadway. I want to sing. Yeah, I went to Convent San Fernando. And I was in the choir there. And my love for music just continued. And theatre arts was a subject that we studied in school. And my theatre arts teacher, big up to you, Paula,
Love you. It's literally like one of my favorite teachers from school. I always tell everybody there were 3 teachers that made my school experience worth it. It was her, my English teacher, Miss Titus, and my music teacher, Mr. Arch. And I did theatre arts straight up until Form 6. We were the first year to do Cape Theatre Arts. 10 out of 10, do not recommend being a guinea pig here, just by the way, guys.
Yeah, I don't think we had theatre arts for Cape when I was in school.
Yeah. So we did that, and I ended up taking a gap year, a year off, because I was planning to write SATs to go and study abroad. And then one of my mentors had suggested to me, Kams, why don't you just do instead of university, why don't you just do like a short course in social media? Because at that point in time, social media is now starting to become like a little bit more popular in terms of advertising and marketing and that kind of thing. And I was like, okay. And I did that, and that was it. Like, I never went back. And I decided not to go to university. I never really liked school. School was never for me.
Same.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I decided not to go, to much aggravation of my lawyer father. But he was still very supportive and gave me a net for the next several years while I figured my life out.
Yeah, it's a big thing that we talk about, because I feel like even when we met, I really love the level of transparency and self-awareness. Like, we've always been very open with ourselves, with our listeners, with everybody, about the things that have to be in place in order for you to be able to do something comfortably. Yeah. And I use the word comfortably, because you could do it, but it'll probably be a little more uncomfortable or inconvenient or sacrificial or whatever the case may be. But yeah, a lot of the reason why you maybe could have thrived and as quickly as you did, even though for us it may seem like, man, it's still taking long, but we don't even maybe deep how sped up our process was because of the support that we had.
Absolutely.
And that's why, because we had the support. You know
exactly.
What I mean?
Yeah. Okay. Your turn. How do you hope people feel when they encounter you?
Okay, so I picked this with, again, the show in mind. I'm just thinking about the audience and the community that we are trying to build and that kind of thing. And I think one of the things I think about when people encounter me, I hope that they feel heard. Like, that's one of the things that I try to put at the forefront of people's experience with me. It's also very important to say that I am me. Like, y'all would learn that very quickly. Like, I'm very blunt, and I'm very honest, and I'm very just me. Like, there's no hiding that.
None.
It's like, I can't fake the funk.
She will let you know.
No, truly, I can't fake the funk. But at the same time, I value a lot of things, and I value being a person who considers others and who cares about, being a decent human being. So
I think you accomplished that.
Thanks.
Yeah, I think we've had points in time in our relationship where I've withheld myself from you, and in some type of made up fear in my mind, only to actively work against that and share myself with you, to be met with complete reception and love and just safety. And
right.
So I think that you definitely accomplished that.
I appreciate that, for real. I just really want people to feel heard. And I think even spaces like this, when we sit and when we have these conversations, I think us doing something like this is a testament to our character in the fact that we really enjoy, this is just a trait of Kamron and myself. We both really, really enjoy progressive conversations. We enjoy listening to others. We enjoy digging deeper and understanding things and issues and dissecting. Those things are really, really important to us. So we'll always even if it's not documented or recorded,
that's how we are. Yeah,
exactly. Over the past 4 years, we've had our own private podcast.
Literally, our life is our podcast.
Literally, with our friends, like, you know, they know very, very well that this is just who we are. So yeah, I hope that that's what people experience, and I hope that they experience that on viewing the show from both of us as well, and just knowing and trusting that, like, you know, we are community focused.
Absolutely.
And
and our heart really is like for y'all. Yeah, absolutely. Like when I started this podcast, I literally called it like two creatives in a room talking. It is some dumb thing, but I had told Dee that I want to create a space and a platform for kids who felt like us.
Yeah.
Who felt like they didn't really like fit into the norm in terms of like their career path and kind of what they wanted to do.
Yeah.
So I wanted to provide a space where we can show them that the life that we wanted is possible.
Yeah. Through all the obstacles that we face, even with, again, the privileges that we spoke about a little while ago, or the support that we do get from friends, family, etc. With that still comes a lot of like roadblocks or challenges or whatever, but being able to like show people that very like openly, like, yo, this is what we went through, this is what this has been like for us, this is, you know what I mean, just so people have a real like proper gauge and understanding of like what the process and the journey really looks like. Because I know that was like a big, I don't want to say setback, but it almost was like a hindrance for me as I started my journey, because I felt like things should have happened quicker than they did, or you know, I would have become discouraged because I was encountering like roadblocks in a certain, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
But we hope, at least like sharing like this is what we've been through or whatever, that people kind of have a better understanding of what the journey can realistically look like for a lot of us, and that it's okay, like it's normal, and sometimes
it literally is what it is, like that is how it's supposed to be.
Literally. Right. So I mean, there are two things in my brain, right? So I feel like we could talk about how we met, because I feel
telling
like
the story.
I feel like
I don't think we've ever.
Yeah. So we can talk about that, or we could just jump kind of into where we've been or whatever. But I feel like we could start with how we met.
Yeah. So I'm gonna say very briefly my part, because I like hearing how Dee explains it, because it's a whole. Our producer Curtis also talks about the fact that we were destined to be in each other's lives, like we were all destined to be friends, and it feels like that so much.
Y'all might also think we hide C, but we don't care.
I don't care about what you all think about it at all. I live in the sky. I'm a cloud walker.
For sure. I always say Kamron, like, she resides up there, and I just visit from time to time.
Okay, so I met D'Andre. The first time I met D'Andre was at a creative meetup with Tristan. Shout out Tristan and Amalda. Tristan is a friend of mine who is also a super dope creative, very elusive little guy. Like,
little guy is crazy.
Tristan is kind of small, you know. But Tristan and I knew each other through social media, and he told me, he was like, Cam, you know, we're doing these meetups, and we want to do one in South, so like come through. It's gonna be at South Park, and I was like, okay, dope. And I met D'Andre there. That's the first time that I ever saw her and met her, and it was cool. It was a vibe. It was like, it was very chill. I think we followed each other on Instagram, or I followed her or something right after. And we did a couple exchanges, like we, you know, here and there. And then...
Well, before we get that...
Yeah,
go back. Okay. So from my perspective, basically, I had been doing YouTube for years at that point, but maybe like 4 or 5 years. And I just got into a point, I was growing a lot on my platforms. And I got into a point where I wanted to do more with my platforms. You know, I mean, I was maybe like 21. Yeah, I was 21 at the time. You know, super young, just trying to figure it out, trying to figure out what's the next step, all of these things. So again, just gaining a lot of traction. I was growing. I probably was at like 20,000 subscribers, which was like huge for me at the time, or almost to that point, I think. And I remember doing a Q&A video, and one of my subscribers at the time asked me if I would ever do a meetup. And I remember I was just like really hesitant about that idea for whatever reason. But I was like, I wouldn't mind doing like an event, like some type of creative event. And, just trying to see how that goes, figure it out. And I was thinking to myself, I'm like, Lord, like, who could I do this with? Because I didn't have a ton of creative friends at that time who were doing stuff that I was doing. And my mind just ran on a Maldo for some reason. And I was like, let me just go with it. So I reached out to her. I pitched the idea. I was like, hey, girl, I don't know. I have this weird idea to do this event thing. Like, do you want to, like, do it with me? She's like, yeah, let's meet up. Let's talk about it. We go to Starbucks. We're, like, planning out this whole thing. We go to see, like, venues. Like, we went to Anchorage. Like, we were really, like, trying to get this done. And we realized, that might be a little ambitious. Because we had no money. We had no nothing, right?
Listen, we dream big and then we come down.
Sure.
And,
So in the process of that, we were like, let's just start small. Like, let's actually, like, start building community first. Let's figure out what the creative industry is saying. Like, let's try to, join together, because at the time, I think we both appreciated, I don't think I even understood as much as I do now the importance and the value of community, but back then I at least appreciated what it could do.
Yeah.
So we're like, yeah, let's just meet up with creatives and kind of build this hub and whatever. So we're like, yeah, let's do these like monthly meetups, basically. Mind you, it only happened once, but
destiny.
Listen, it did what it needs to do. Sometimes things just lead you to other things, right? So she was like, okay, I know Tristan. I was like, yeah, I know Tristan. And she's like, actually, no. Another girl, she's from South as well, and it was Kamron. I was like, okay. So she showed me. I was like, oh yeah, I feel like I've seen, because I think I had seen you on my Explore page before then. Like right before. But like I didn't know you at all. Like I was just like, who's this person? But then she showed me and she's like, yeah, I feel like I've seen her. So I was like, yeah, no problem. Invite her. We go down south, we meet up, and it was like Cam said, it was a vibe. And we stayed like briefly connected. Like we follow each other, so obviously like replying to each other's stories, like real chill. And then you can go from there.
And then
so this was like February. This was like end of February.
my timelines are.
I think it was like late February into early March.
Okay.
Yeah. 2018.
18.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you all when this was, but Shadell and I separately met Curtis.
Oh, yeah.
At GMAT Gospel Music Awards, Trinidad and Tobago.
That would have been January.
Right.
That same year.
So we did that. We represented Gates Praise at a meeting that GMAT had. And I don't even know why, first of all. Like, I think back, I was like, why did they send us? But I think it's because we were doing social media or whatever for them at the point in time. And we met Curtis. And for some reason, we just liked Curtis. Like the energy that he brought. We were just like, we like that guy. And I think Shadell knew him from social media or something like that. And
was Wade there with
yeah, right. Wade was also there.
So another mutual friend. And we were all friends with each other separately.
Yes. So but unbeknownst to us, unbeknownst to me, I didn't know that Curtis and D'Andre knew each other. So we met Curtis that one time, and then I met D'Andre. And then somehow in the mix, I ended up going to Poetry Slam.
Yeah, so because you had to perform.
I had to sing. Yeah, so Curtis, I think Curtis brought me into Poetry Slam because I had to sing for that. And D'Andre was there at Poetry Slam, and I brought Shadell because I wanted company.
I'm pretty sure I went with you. So I went with Kreat. Kreat also brought Kamron to sing, but like again, it wasn't like a connected thing. Like,
no, it wasn't. It was separate.
I got there and I was like, "Oh, Kamron is here." We go to meet her backstage. I was like, "Oh my gosh, hi, Kamron!" And again, this is our first time seeing each other since the meetup.
That, yeah,
a couple months prior. So this is now April, and we're like, "Oh wait."
Hey. And then Shadell adopts D'Andre, and then we never look back after that. It's literally so. Shadell meets D'Andre. And Shadell falls in love with D'Andre in that moment. I will get it. I'll get it.
If y'all don't know Shadell though, I mean, I don't know how you can, but if you follow us, you should know
I just
Shadell.
assume that everybody knows Shadell. Because people know me because of Shadell. So Yeah, Shadella's our best friend. And Shadella and I have known each other since I was 12, since I was 13, going into convents because we went to school together. So Shadella
I go to Poetry Slam and I see Cam, and then I see this girl with her, and I'm like,
who's this? And Shadella's like, oh, hi.
Yeah.
And they click instantly.
But we're in the crowd with it. Like, deep that. Like, I'm talking, not to say intermission,
backstage, nothing.
Vibe,
no, we're
backstage.
in the middle.
In
the crowd.
Backstage for a while with Curtis, and then he got ready to go do, because he was doing media, whatever. So we finish up with whatever we was in backstage. I go back into the crowd, and I think I saw or whatever. So
something and I think I introduced you to say D'Andre. This is D'Andre.
But of course it's poetry slam, so there's a bunch of poetry happening. So we're reacting to it, and Shada and I are busting up. We're like dying laughing. We're cracking jokes, and I'm just like, it's like, she's crazy. I'm like, she's crazy just like me.
Literally. And that goes on for the entire night.
Yeah.
And afterwards, somehow D'Andre ends up in our car.
I think I was waiting for Curtis and Zwade.
And we were talking. We were just talking. I remember we talking about Janelle Monáe's pussy paw or something like that.
Video. I need to, whatever I have, I'll probably try to put it in the edit.
Literally. And then Shadelle. And keep in mind, guys, at this point in time in our lives, Shadelle don't really like people. Like, she don't like people. So, like, we don't lie much with the people outside of our friend group at that point in time. Like, no new friends. Like, it just wasn't that vibe. So, this whole time, at the end of the night, Shadelle is like, do you want to come spend the night?
So, we're chilling in the car. Again, we're just listening to music, vibing out. Like, it was really, truly a vibe. When I say, like, that soul connection, like, when you meet somebody and it's like, I've always known you. Like, it's just that energy where, like, you would swear this was just, like, a normal day for us kind of thing. And at the end, like, obviously we're ready to go. And so Kitty comes to me and she's like, actually, do you just want to spend the night by Kamron?
And at that point, Shada was like living by us, right? Living by me. So she's like, do you want to come? And I'm like,
first of all, how you inviting somebody to my house?
No, but D'Andre was like,
literally, because I'm like,
it's like, is that okay? I'm just like, I guess.
Literally, that was everything. Like, I guess. I was like, okay. And then the other says yes. I'm like, I guess, okay, cool. But I felt very comfortable, obviously safe. You, me, and Shada drove back to my house in the east to get my clothes, get my stuff, then drove down to South.
What were we doing, bro? What were we doing?
Besties for the rest. And then Curtis came for me the next day, because I wasn't driving at that time.
Right.
Curtis came to pick me up with Sway the next day.
Okay.
And that's when we like all night up or whatever. But we did have dinner that night with everybody.
Right.
Before we went by me, we went to Movie Town. We like grabbed dinner at this place or whatever, and then went down the road. Yeah, literally the rest of history. Like,
absolutely.
We just, it's been up from there, quite
literally. D'Andre and Shada send me TikToks all the time about how I'm that friend that just like randomly looks at my friends and like, I'm in love with you. And like, I just appreciate it.
She's like a words of affirmation friend. I'm not a words of affirmation friend.
She's not.
I'm not like, but that's her thing though. That's your bag. Like, you be in your words of affirmation.
Because I'm just like, I just tell the truth. I'm like, I literally.
No, I appreciate it.
I tell people all the time, I feel so bad for people who don't have one community. I always say it because I'm just like, I quite literally do not know how I would live without y'all. I also feel bad for people who don't have creative community. And I feel like we like jackpot like when we became friends, because even like we were recording something the other day and the person was like, the person who was in the room, and they were like just admiring kind of what was going on with us, and they were like, there's no ego in this room. And I'm just like,
I didn't hear them say that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
And I was telling Curtis about it, and he was just like, I didn't even think about that. And I'm just like, yeah, we don't, because it's just like,
that's a really, really good. I love that phrase, and like saying it like that, or thinking about it like that, because it is true in the sense that I think a big reason why what we have works, and y'all will meet more of our friends, more of our community, because it's a really, really big part of our lives, you know. All glory be to God. Like,
thank God.
All glory be to God. Like, for that, like, that's my biggest blessing. Like, I always say that, like, money and all that, like, that's cool, very cool. But community, friendship, like that sort of value is priceless.
Unmatched, yeah.
So yeah, just thinking about that, the fact that what we have works so well because we truly lead with love.
Absolutely.
When it comes to one another.
Yeah.
Like, it is really first about the person. Like, the things that we do come as a natural, like, flow.
Yeah.
It comes naturally out of what we...
Overflow.
Like, of what we already do or how we already feel about each other, if that makes sense. Like, for me, it's Kamron first, as in her well-being, her mental health, her physical health, like making sure she's good as a person before I think about like
anything
else. Yeah, like this, like I tell her that it's all the time. It's about like, this can't work if you're not good. I don't want a co-host who's not doing well, as in like your mind, like your health, like your, you know what I mean? Like your being. Like, I always need to make sure that you are good so that whatever we do reflects that. Like, you are at your best. Like, I have no desire to show up in a room with a friend who is not doing well, if that makes sense. Like, that means then we need to go in private, pour into you a little bit, like figure out how we could like get you back to yourself, and then we come back. You know what I mean? Like, we have no real desire to perform for anybody
at all.
Like, and I think that really, I hope it translates, but it's something that I stand by. I know we all like stand by. We care about. When I think about Curtis, when I think about Sherds, when I think about Kev, Juan, Amal, like all of our friends, I'm just like, are you good?
Yeah.
Cool. Then let's deal with whatever else we're dealing. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I feel that like, no ego.
Okay, so what have you been up to the last 4 years?
Wow, smooth transition. Right, where have we been, Lord Father? Jesus.
Because we've been absent. We've been absent from this space for the last 4 years, not without reason, and not without effort to come back, guys. We did a whole COVID like set of research. Like, we were about to relaunch in COVID. Yeah. And that was a whole
happened, obviously. We'll get into it. So firstly, I do want to say, I mean, for those of you who might be new, y'all now tuning in, you don't even know who we are, or, you know, you're trying to figure out like what's going on here. You know, Kamron and I started the show with every effort to pour into the local creative community and the regional community, because we really care about the Caribbean and what we have to offer to the world. And there's just so much potential, and there's so much that we feel like we can add to this space by just tapping into the resource pool that we have. Yeah. And, you know, just trying to share that with others, because, you know, we've been blessed to encounter such incredible people in our lives and learn from them and all the things. Absolutely. So I'm just like, we want to bring them on, and we want to like share that same knowledge with you guys. So that's where it stemmed from. You know, it was in Kamron's heart. It was her brainchild to like just have a space and a community of creatives that, you know, we can sit together, whether virtually or physically, and just kind of experience this space where we understand the things that we go through and kind of chat about it and whatever. So Recess was born. As the name suggests, at least for me, when I talk about Recess, I always tell Kamron, for me, the name symbolizes like a good time. It's like a break from the monotonous, the repetitive, the hustle and bustle. It's just like fun, and I feel like that's what creativity should be. Of course, a lot of us we've made it into our work, but it's also something that we love as well, and I know a lot of us do. So when we think of Recess, that's kind of how we feel about it. We did season 1, we did season 2, and like we were speaking about earlier, like it was really well received. And in the process of trying to relaunch season 3, a few things happened, to be very honest. So I mean, I'll speak from my perspective, and you could jump in and share yours as well. So one, COVID, that goes without saying.
Major.
But even before COVID, because season 2 ended very abruptly. Like, we had more episodes planned out for season 2, and we dropped like 6 episodes, I believe. Those were great, but we weren't finished. Like, we had others that we wanted to like do. And to be very honest, we had some like internal issues, like team wise. And Kamron also was traveling around that same time that we were having those internal issues. So things kind of got
wonky.
Yeah. Like, not so great. Not with us, but just, again, dynamic of the team and trying to like settle that and figure that out. And when that was finally settled, and we're like, okay, how do we proceed? We started back kind of talking about and planning it. I remember the end of 2019 going into 2020. I wouldn't say, like, I was finding things outside of like the pod and stuff that I wanted to do and like pour energy into that honestly took some of my focus away from the pod and like being able to like really commit to it in a way that like I should have been able to, or would have wanted to rather. And so things just kept getting delayed. And before you know it, it's March 2020 and COVID, right? And then by that point, we're just like, all right, let's wait this out, see how it goes. And things just spiral at that point. And also you had to then start thinking about, okay, how am I supporting myself, you know, then we kinda, financially.
Like, we were in that age bracket when we were like, oh, we have to start making money.
Yeah.
So that also happened in there too, where we both kind of started to develop our businesses because we were like, okay, cool. The responsibility time. That's just kind of how it developed. And that continued for like a little while where we were incubating, like you like to say. We were baking.
Yeah, because, you know, as Cam said, like, we both had to be responsible. Like, you know, we were 22 at the time. Like, it's crazy, by the way. I'm turning 27. I would be 27 when this comes out. That's crazy. It's not to say we just, like, had regular, like, 8 to 4, 9 to 5, whatever. And, like, you know, we really actively had to build out our creative businesses, like Kams was saying, and that takes a lot of intentionality and all that. So, yeah, we took the time to do that in the midst of a pandemic, which is not easy either. And also, I think it gave us a lot of space and time to explore our personal creativity and, like, really learn ourselves and develop that. I learned and explored so much that I had never explored before during the pandemic, and like figuring out and learning things I can do and developing my craft and all the things. I launched my business. And I matured and just grew a lot, learned a lot. Like, I think it was a preparation period.
Absolutely.
For this moment.
Definitely.
What about you?
I agree. I think that I was always very present for recess.
Yeah. You way more than me. Oh my God.
I think
I feel bad about that.
No, I think it happened the way that it was supposed to, as we always do. But people would ask me. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm just waiting on D, I'm just waiting on D.
You tell me that too. Like, I just waiting on whenever you're ready.
Literally. So throughout the process, I think in our individual lives stayed the same. Like, I had launched, I didn't launch my business, but I actually started like getting clients within the pandemic, and I started working, making my own money, thank God. And that just kind of tumbled and continued as time passed and progressed. And I think that, like Dee said, it was a good time for us to develop ourselves individually in the creative space, kind of establish ourselves also as creatives, professional creatives, creative professionals. And I think that gave us a good establishment to come back and be like, hey guys, this is where we're at right now, you know? Yeah. Because that's when we both got into film and like production and realizing that was something that we're both inclined to, and also getting experience in that space. And we did a whole show with our friends. We started a production company. Like, we just did a bunch of stuff,
which we're still working on and actively pursuing and all the things. Like, but I think we're just both in a much better space. And I don't even think we realize, even just sitting in this moment, I'm like really acknowledging for the first time, like we're so much more stable.
Stable is literally the word I had in my head.
Than we were like, you know, those years ago. I remember just like being so frazzled all the time and just being so confused and thinking about like, how is this gonna be like? Yeah, and almost just putting too much on it, like out of like a place of scarcity almost, where now I feel like I operate out of a place of abundance and knowing the value that is present in my life between my creative endeavors, my friends, my community, all the things now. Like I don't have to be so scared about how something's gonna pan out or how this is gonna work or blah blah blah. I just have to trust
we can just
process.
create it and just let it do what it has to do.
Exactly. And I feel like creating out of that space is just so much more impactful and so much more
authentic.
Yeah. I just have so much optimism when it comes to what is to come. I was talking to one of my friends. I was talking to Jimmy today, and he was telling me how great. Yeah, he's like so glad to see us back in this space and like what we're gonna be doing with the show and everything. And I'm just like, yeah, I feel good about where we're at and all that is to come. And I just trust the energy that we'll bring and the fact that we are the minds behind it. Like we control the narrative and we know the intention that we have behind it, and we trust that it would be authentic to the stories that we want to tell and the things that we want to share and the voices that we want to bring on and all of that good stuff.
Definitely. Guys, so I do want to like give some information about kind of how this season, well, not how this season, how the relaunch of Recess is going to kind of progress from here on out. So it is getting a little bit of a rebrand. So the name of the podcast now is Recess with D'Andre and Kamron versus Recess Creative Conversations. Now, we won't be having creative conversations because we are creatives and we'll talk about creativity regardless because that's who we are. But it is more so, one, there is no seasonal structure. Like at some point in time we will have a break, but that will come kind of when we feel
it's necessary.
Yeah, it's necessary. So there's no season 3, season 4, season 5. It's just Recess, the show. And there's also no like major arc or structure, thematic structure of the show. Like set of structured topics. It's really just D'Andre and I and what we want to talk about when we want to talk about it.
I think the show now, and I mean, that was a great time because I was gonna, jump into
what to expect.
What to expect and where the show is going now. And I think a big part is, and I was explaining to our friends too, like it's definitely gonna be centered around us, because that's the space, really only the space that we can speak from, like our own experiences, ourselves. And I feel like we have a lot to share in different parts of life, like in our journeys, whether it's like our personal experiences, creative experiences, business, etc. Like there's just so many parts of us that we want to be able to share with y'all. And again, that's the aspect of community that we enjoy. But we're also going to be bringing on people that we love and that we admire, people that, we feel like their voices, the things they have to say matter. When we bring on our friends, obviously those are also people that we love, but just from a more personal standpoint, like y'all get to really see us, like chop it up with our friends and like have them on here and kind of just show y'all the relationships that we have and like what we've built and kind of speak more to that. Y'all just really will get a lot more
us. Lots of us. So if you don't like us, skip.
Unsubscribe. I'm kidding. But yeah, Kams, what the episodes talking about? What the drops talking about? Weekly, daily, monthly, bi-weekly? What we saying?
Okay, guys. We're gonna be dropping every Wednesday. Every single Wednesday.
No. Maybe not every single, but
as many Wednesdays as we can get.
Until we decide we need a little break. But for now, you can expect new episodes every Wednesday. Turn your post notifications on. Subscribe. We're available on Spotify. We're available on Apple Podcasts. Wherever you listen to your podcast, honestly. So you can get the audio. And of course, we're on YouTube. But you get the video, you can see our beautiful faces. So if you're listening to this, definitely check out the YouTube channel, Recess with D'Andre and Kamron, where you could get a bit more visual tease.
Stimuli.
And that's our wrap.
Rippity wrap.
Episode 1. Thank you guys so much for tuning in for Rock. After all these years, if you're OG, just comment down below. If you're new here, welcome to the family.
Welcome to the class.
Our contemplating, we're just calling y'all our classmates.
I feel like it's a good squad name.
Kamron came up with that. If you want to be called something else, just leave some suggestions. Words.
Leave some suggestions.
If you want to be called something else, leave some suggestions down below for us as well.
Classmates.
Kamron is very much good with classmates, but I'm open to suggestions. Sorry. But guys, we're going to be populating these socials. We're going to be having some extra behind the scenes content. A lot of fun stuff on there. So follow us on Instagram to keep up, to know when episodes are dropping. We might have bonus episodes for y'all. Who knows? We might have things coming. You know what I'm saying? So keep up with the IG. Follow us on TikTok. Follow us on whatever other socials that we may have at that point. But definitely TikTok and IG. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. See y'all next Wednesday.